Okay, guys, welcome to the Chosen One podcast show. If you landed on this podcast episode, you are probably a manifesting generator and a female entrepreneur, coach, or expert. So, welcome. Take a cup of tea and binge listen to all the amazing episodes I have set up for you. Episodes to help you create the right energy and mindset to create the manifesting generator business and life of your dreams. Here we go. Okay, Queens, I have a super interesting episode for you. It's about a trick I use to schedule my to-dos during the day. And it's actually a method I learned when I was still working as a psychologist. So for those of you who don't know my story, before I became a business coach, I was a psychologist. I used to work in a rehab center and then after that in an eating disorder center. And while I was working there, I of course also encountered working with a lot of men especially, and women as well when I worked at an eating disorder, with ADHD. And for me, I always whenever I think back of a lot of my ADHD clients, I'm like, did they really have ADHD or maybe they were just manifesting generators? But one thing we have in common with people who have been diagnosed ADHD is that we find it sometimes a little difficult to focus, to focus on one thing and to also really prioritize the things that we need to work on. Like, regardless if you're already super successful or not, this is something that is a challenge, right? And this is something that is so important, especially when you work at a high level, right? When you run your business at a high level, it's so important to prioritize your task in a efficient way. And the reason why I think this is so interesting to share this tool with you is because it is really, we have to remember human behavior, right? We have to remember how the human behavior works. And if we keep reminding ourselves of that and we understand why we do the things that we do, it's so much easier to break habits, right? So we as human, and I've told you guys this over and over and over again, we are wired to survive and to do things from a habitual place, because habits have proven to keep you alive because you are still alive. So your ego, your brain, your whole system believes that the habits you currently have are actually beneficial to you because, hey, you are alive, so they must work, right? Now, the problem is that when we want different results, we actually have to create new habits. So this becomes a challenge then, because your whole system and your mind is like, oh, wait a second, this is safe. What the heck are you going to do? You're going to change your habits? No, we're not. We're staying in a safe place. But that cannot happen if you want different results, right? So if you want to go to your next level income, or you want to start attracting in new type of clients, or you just want maybe a little bit more ease in your life, maybe you're already making a lot of money, but you find it a little hard to get out of the red race of always doing stuff. Whatever your goal is, it requires new habits, okay? So this is where this tool, this schedule tool, becomes in so handy, because this tool actually helps you prioritize your task, and it helps you to then keep yourself it allows you to not distract yourself with things that actually don't move the needle in your business, okay? So let me give you an example. I currently have a couple of to-do things on my list, right? So I'll wake up in the morning, and then I usually already know these are some of the things I want to do. And then during the day, all these things get added to it, right? So one example that I have to do, I'm currently hosting the Insta content game. So I have to create content for the Insta content game for my clients, right? So this is one thing that's on my to-do list. Another thing that's on my to-do list is sell. I sell every day. That is like one of my number one things in my business. I truly believe that money is the oxygen to your business. I believe that money needs to come in on a regular basis in order to keep the energy clean. I find that when people are not making money, they get stressed. Their whole mind gets narrow. They don't see as much possibilities, and it's like the oxygen just gets taken away. And when the oxygen gets taken away, your system panics because it thinks it's gonna die. And when you think you're gonna die, you usually make weird kind of like panicky decisions, right? So we always want to make sure that there is enough oxygen in our business so that we don't panic, so that we have a broad perspective, that we can see all the possibilities, and that we can make very aligned and high vibe choices, and we can attract in people and clients and opportunities that are in line with that. So this is why I believe it's so important to always make money. So making money every day is one of the things that I have on my to-do list. Now, I don't have a set way of how I do this. I just like basically channel different things I can do on a daily basis to make money. So, for example, today on my to-do list, I have that I want to send back a couple of voice memos to some clients that I have been talking to in the past about my branding portals, right? So I also do photography, and I do branding portals. And over the last couple of months, I had several people who have shown interest for it. At that point, I was pretty fully booked on the branding shoots, and my energy wasn't there. So I don't actually offer it when I'm not fully invested. But now I'm like, oh yes, I feel excited about doing branding shoots again. I have the time again. So I was like, that's great. I will get back to these people and we'll send them a message about what I have to offer at this point around the branding shoots. So that is one other thing. Sorry guys, we're all having colds again. Sorry, that didn't sound so nice, but I'm sorry. So that's another thing that I have on my to-do list. And then, of course, I have recording the podcast show, which is on my to-do list. And then there are like 10, 20 other things I could come up with that are on my to-do list, right? I have like this desire to do a new webinar around the 7 universal laws. And then whenever when I'm listening to a podcast, like I hear people talk about stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, that will be interesting too. That will be interesting too. And this is how my to-do list or my wanna-do list actually builds up, right? And what then actually happens is that your mind gets more and more overwhelmed. You're more and more like, oh my God, I'm in a hurry. I don't have enough time. When am I going to do this? And this becomes a problem because when you want to live your best life, when you want to attract in your highest results, you need to be in a high frequency at least 70% of the time, right? So you can't be doing all day long. If you're doing all day long, you're not at a high flying disc, you're not in your vortex, and you can't attract in the things that you desire. So then on top of that, it also like, oh my God, I cannot do all these things because I can't be working all day, right? So, okay, you get the point. Now, what do I actually use to solve this problem? I use this tool that I actually did with my ADHD clients. It's a tool from the cognitive behavioral therapy. Excuse my stuttering here, but these are complicated words for me. And it's a tool that helps you prioritize and stay focused, okay? So what you actually do is I prefer to do this at night before I go to bed, because then it already gives me a benefit in the morning, right? Because I'm already focused in the morning. I already know right away, okay, this is what I have to do today. It's really not that much, and I can stay in that relaxed mode, right? And the relaxed mode is the number one thing why we actually manifest. So if you look at the task that I just gave you, right? You are then gonna prioritize it in 3 categories. So you have category A, this is the category that is like high priority. Okay, so if it has an A, it has to be done today. Okay, then you have category B, and this is the category that it says like, okay, it is sort of a priority, but it doesn't have to be today. It can also be done tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. And then C is like not really a priority. It can also be done next week. Okay, so when I look at my task list, what my mind would usually do is it would totally make me first want to do the Instagram thing, because that feels like a thing that I have to do. And then it's like, okay, if I just do that, it's done, and then I don't have to worry about that anymore. But the interesting thing is, when you do things from that kind of frequency, something else gets added on your list that you just feel like you have to do, right? So you can do it in that way. And again, that is like your familiar wow. I was like, when I was preparing this episode in my mind, I was in the shower and I got the download for this episode. I was like, I cannot do this episode. It has all these complicated words that I cannot pronounce. But your familiarity, well, you get the point. Your familiar things of doing things is to, like, if you're an entrepreneur that is used to like always hustling, right? Or if you're an entrepreneur that's used to always being busy, then your mind will always make you prioritize the things that will keep you busy. But if you want that next level result, you have to step out of that system, right? So my old self would always say, okay, do the Instagram first. And then that would like totally take away all my energy. It will drain my energy. And then I would have like a low frequency. And then from that low frequency, I would then maybe respond to my clients around the photo shoot portal. And then because I would do it from a low frequency, those people might not buy it. And this is how I would keep myself stuck in a old pattern, right? Of struggling, of hustling, and all that kind of stuff. Well, of course, that is the old version, but the new version, the CEO knows how she does that in a different way. So what I always do is I use this planning tool. So I prioritize A, B, or C. If I look at the list, my Instagram that I would normally prioritize super high would now become a B task, because the B is something that doesn't need to be done today. It can also be done tomorrow. It can be done tomorrow because the next assignment needs to come out tomorrow at 8 p.m. So I have until tomorrow 8 p.m. to do that exercise, and I can literally make it in 30 minutes, right? So my mind makes a whole thing out of it, but I know if I just like have a super high vibe, I can do it in 30 minutes and I'm super easily done with it, right? So this actually becomes a B on my list today. Then the sending the messages to my clients around the portal, that's absolutely an A, right? Because selling every day is my highest priority. So responding people about potentially signing up for a portal is an A priority. My old system would definitely make that a C priority, because it's like, they're not really waiting for my response, so it can also be done next week. And this is how my old self would then actually keep myself small, right? Because I would like put the making money thing on a long-term priority instead of a short-term priority. And then, of course, the podcast is an A, because that is just a commitment that I have with myself and my spirit team. That's like a separate agreement that we have on that. And then I had another test. Oh yeah, then of course I have that webinar that I really want to create. And that is like a C. It's not something that I have to do today. I don't have to do that tomorrow. I can do that whenever I feel lit up by it. So now all of a sudden I'm looking at my to-do list and I'm like, okay, the only thing that I really need to do today is send my amazing clients those voice memos around the photo shoot portal, about the branding portal, and record an episode. That's the only thing I have to do today. And the rest of the time I can just use to do fun things, listen to amazing podcasts, do whatever I desire. And I might do a lot more today, but this is the only thing I have to do. And because this is the only thing I have to do, I actually create so much space in my mind, and the oxygen gets very extensive, right? So what I explained to you, when there's no oxygen, we get very narrow in our view. We don't actually know. We only see limited options. We need a lot of oxygen. So the way we get oxygen into our system is by making sure we have a lot of money, and by actually making sure we have a lot of time. Okay, so whenever you're in scarcity, time scarcity and money scarcity, that just cuts off any form of creativity. So this tool I wanted to share with you, so you can use that in your business to actually make sure that you open up the tap of your time oxygen. Because when you open up the tap on a time oxygen, you will see that everything starts floating more. Money will start flowing more, creative ideas will start flowing more, everything starts flowing more. Money, opportunities, collaborations, it all comes through energy. So you first have to make sure that there is enough energy in your business to even allow in all these things, okay? So open up the tab, start experimenting with this tool, and have fun with it. Start enjoying your free time and start enjoying all the amazing downloads, opportunities, collaborations, and money that is gonna come into your energy field. So excited for you all, and for myself included as well. Love you guys. Have an amazing day. We'll talk soon.